The phone rang just as Anna Brooks was sealing an envelope. Her hand froze above the white paper, heart pounding as her father's name lit up the screen. "Anna," Robert Brooks said, his voice sharp as cut glass. "You're going to your sister's wedding whether you like it or not. If you skip it, I'm done paying for your education. Do you hear me?" There it was again, the threat disguised as love. Anna sat perfectly still in her small Portland apartment, surrounded by stacks of research papers and a single suitcase half-packed. Her father's words echoed through the room like a command she'd been trained to obey since childhood. "I have finals that week." She lied softly. "Then move them. This is family." Family. The word always meant control when it came from Robert. His version of love was a ledger one side favors, the other, obedience. "Fine," she murmured, ending the call before the tremor in her voice could give her away. Silence filled the space. Outside, the city glowed in shades of blue and gold, distant and indifferent. Anna looked down at the sealed envelope again, the one her family knew nothing about. Inside wasn't an RSVP or a check for the wedding. It was a cashier's check for $12,350, the exact amount her parents had paid for her first semester of college. 4 years ago, they'd held that single payment over her head ever since, as if it had bought her existence. After that semester, she'd taken out loans, worked 3 part-time jobs, and earned scholarships to finish on her own. But to them, she'd always been the girl they paid to keep afloat. Her gaze drifted to the acceptance letter on the desk, a graduate program in environmental engineering, a future she'd earned entirely by herself. She traced her name across the letterhead like proof she was real, even if her parents never saw her that way. In the next room, her laptop chimed with an email from her new employer, Thornfield Systems, confirming her start date. $110,000 a year. Independence. Finally. On paper. Anna leaned back, the envelope still in her hand. It felt heavier than it should, packed not with money but with years of silence and swallowed anger. For 22 years, she'd been the quiet one, the dutiful one, the invisible daughter. This time, she thought, she wouldn't be invisible. Not anymore. Anna had learned long ago that silence was safer than being noticed. In the Brooks household, attention was a currency reserved for her younger sister, Sophie, the golden one, the shining proof that their parents had done something right. From the moment Sophie was born, the world revolved around her. Family dinners, vacations, even arguments somehow turned into conversations about Sophie's achievements, her dance recitals, her college sorority, her fiancé, Mark Evans, all headline news in the Brooks family group chat. Anna's milestones, on the other hand, were treated like footnotes. When she'd won the regional science fair in high school, Robert had given a distracted nod before asking if Sophie had found a dress for prom. When she'd made the dean's list, Karen had smiled politely and said, "That's nice, honey," before showing everyone Sophie's new photos from her weekend trip. Invisible, Anna thought. Always the background of someone else's story. It wasn't that her parents were cruel. They just didn't see her. To them, she was the quiet shadow who didn't need attention. The one who would be fine. Maybe that was the part that hurt most, that their neglect wasn't even intentional. It was effortless. She remembered one particular night, the Christmas she turned 18. Sophie had unwrapped a new laptop and designer bag. Anna had received socks and a practical calculator for school. Robert had raised his glass and said, "To both our daughters, our pride and joy." The toast had been perfect, and perfectly false. Now, 4 years later, Sophie was the bride. The whole family buzzed with excitement over her upcoming wedding to Mark, a man from a wealthy real estate family. Karen had sent hundreds of photos of Sophie in wedding gowns, each captioned with gushing pride. Anna's name didn't appear once. She stared at her phone, scrolling through the thread of messages she'd never responded to. Every emoji, every exclamation point felt like a reminder she existed only when it was convenient. But things were about to change. The envelope on her desk wasn't just money, it was the price of her freedom. And soon, they would all see her. The envelope sat on Anna's desk like a quiet dare. She had written her father's name across it in steady, deliberate handwriting, each letter sharp, each curve precise. $12,350, the exact amount they'd once used to buy her obedience. It had taken her months to save that money. Every extra shift, every late night, every weekend she spent tutoring instead of sleeping. She'd skipped dinners, turned down parties, lived on discounted groceries, all for this moment. Not to thank them, but to end the debt they believed they owned her with. She ran her thumb along the sealed edge, imagining the look on Robert's face when he opened it. The confusion first, then the anger because he wouldn't understand. He'd never been able to grasp that love and control weren't the same thing. Her phone buzzed with another message from her mother. "Karen, don't forget to RSVP for the rehearsal dinner. Sophie's excited to see you." Anna almost laughed. Excited to see her, Sophie probably didn't even know what city she lived in now. The only time her sister ever texted was when she needed someone to admire a new photo or help edit a caption. The irony burned. While her parents had funneled money into Sophie's lifestyle, her trips, her clothes, her social life, Anna had built something real. She'd earned a degree in environmental engineering, graduated with honors, and secured a position at Thornfield Systems, one of the top sustainability firms in the region. None of them knew. None of them had asked. She looked around her tiny studio apartment. Every piece of furniture bought with her own paychecks. It wasn't glamorous, but it was hers. Freedom, she thought. Has a particular smell, a mix of coffee, printer ink, and cheap laundry detergent. Tomorrow, she'd drive to the wedding venue in Beaverton. She would hand her father that envelope and say the words she'd rehearsed 100 times in her head. "You don't own me anymore." For 22 years, she had swallowed her words, convinced herself that obedience meant peace. But peace built on silence was just another form of captivity. She slipped the envelope into her bag, exhaled slowly, and whispered to the empty room. This is it. It wasn't anger she felt now. It was clarity, the kind that comes right before a storm. The sky over Beaverton was a perfect blue, the kind of day photographers dream of. Anna's stomach, however, twisted into knots as she parked her old car beside a row of gleaming SUVs. From where she stood, the wedding venue looked like something out of a magazine. White roses, crystal chandeliers, and a manicured lawn where a quartet played soft music. The air smelled of money and pride. She checked her reflection in the car window. The navy dress she'd chosen was simple but elegant, appropriate, respectable. Not that it would ever be enough for her parents. Inside, the noise of conversation and laughter swelled around her. Every voice sounded rehearsed, every smile carefully maintained. When she spotted her family across the garden, her chest tightened. Her father stood straight-backed, his laughter booming as he shook hands with Mark's wealthy relatives. Her mother, Karen, hovered beside him, radiant in pearls and perfection. Then there was Sophie the bride, all lace and light, glowing in a way that had nothing to do with love and everything to do with attention. For a moment, Anna just watched. It was strange, how distant she felt from people who shared her name. Robert noticed her first. His smile faltered. "You're late," he barked, loud enough that nearby guests turned. "Traffic." She lied, her voice flat. Karen's gaze traveled from Anna's shoes to her neckline, her expression softening into something that looked like disappointment disguised as concern. "Oh, Anna! That's what you're wearing." "It's fine," Anna said, forcing a smile. "Well, it'll have to do," Karen murmured. "Come on, family photos before the ceremony." Anna didn't move. Instead, She reached into her purse and pulled out the white envelope. Her pulse thundered in her ears. Robert frowned. "What's this? Open it." He tore the seal and pulled out the check. His eyebrows shot up. "What is this supposed to be?" "The money you paid for my first semester of college," Anna said evenly. $12,350. I'm paying you back. The conversation around them began to fade. Karen leaned closer, her voice rising. "Anna, what are you doing? This isn't the time." "It's exactly the time." Robert's confusion hardened into irritation. "You think money erases everything we've done for you?" "No," Anna said quietly. "It erases your control." Karen's face flushed red. "We supported you. We sacrificed. You supported Sophie." Anna interrupted. "You turned my life into a debt I never asked for. I'm done." Gasps rippled through nearby guests. Robert's jaw tightened. "You will not embarrass us like this. I already did." "Didn't I?" Anna's voice was calm, almost eerily so. "You said I owed you for my education. Now you've been paid back in full. There's nothing left to hold over me." Karen reached for her arm, whispering furiously. "You can't just walk out." "Your sister's wedding." Anna stepped back. "Then watch me." She turned toward the exit, her heels clicking against the marble like a metronome counting down the end of something. Behind her, Robert's voice thundered, "Anna, get back here right now." She didn't. As she crossed the courtyard, whispers followed her like shadows. "What happened? Is that the sister? Did you see the check?" The quartet played on, their music hollow beneath the hum of gossip. When Anna reached her car, her hands shook as she gripped the steering wheel. She expected tears, regret, panic, but none came. Instead, she felt weightless. For the first time, her father's voice was just an echo, powerless and distant, somewhere inside the venue. Sophie was probably smiling for the cameras, pretending nothing had happened, but Anna knew better. This was the real beginning not of Sophie's marriage, but of her own freedom. She started the engine, the envelope's absence in her purse feeling like space where something heavy used to live. As the venue disappeared in her rearview mirror, Anna whispered to herself, "They'll remember this day too." And she smiled not out of joy, but out of release. That night, the city felt quieter than usual. Portland's lights flickered through Anna's window as she sat cross-legged on her couch, staring at her phone. 17 missed calls, 11 unread messages. Each notification pulsed like a heartbeat she didn't want to feel. Her father's last text was short and sharp. "You embarrassed this family. Don't bother coming home." Her mother's voicemail was worse, part fury, part pity. "You've hurt your sister. You've humiliated us. Why would you do this to us?" Anna. She deleted both. The silence afterward was brutal, but also clean. For years, every decision she'd made had carried their fingerprints. Now, for the first time, she was untethered. Still, freedom came with a strange ache. She kept replaying the moment she'd handed her father that envelope, the way confusion had flickered across his face before pride turned to anger. She had wanted him to understand, to see her, but deep down she knew he never would. When her phone buzzed again, she nearly ignored it until she saw the name, Tina Wells. Her best friend's voice filled the room, warm and grounding. "I heard what happened," Tina said, "and I'm proud of you." Anna exhaled, the tension easing from her shoulders. "It doesn't feel good. It feels like I detonated something." "That's what freedom feels like at first," Tina said gently. "Loud, messy, but it gets quiet again. I promise." Anna smiled faintly. 2 days later, she walked into the glass lobby of Thornfield Systems, a sleek engineering firm overlooking the river. Her supervisor, Linda Cruz, greeted her with a firm handshake and a knowing smile. "Welcome aboard, Anna. I've read your file. You've earned this." In that moment, something inside Anna settled. Here, Her worth wasn't tied to family names or debts repaid. It was measured in skill, effort, and truth. That night, as she unpacked her new work ID and laptop, she whispered the words she hadn't dared believe before. "I'm free." And for the first time, the silence didn't hurt, it healed. The first weeks at Thornfield Systems passed in a blur of numbers, meetings, and the steady rhythm of belonging. Anna had started to smile again, real smiles, the kind that reached her eyes. Her days were filled with work that mattered, colleagues who respected her, and a mentor who saw her potential. For the first time, she didn't feel invisible. Then, one rainy Thursday afternoon, her phone buzzed with an unknown number. She almost ignored it until curiosity got the better of her. "Hello, Anna, it's Mark." The sound of her brother-in-law's voice startled her. She hadn't heard it since the wedding, since she'd walked out. "I know this is weird," he said, his tone uncertain, "but I think we should talk. It's about your parents." An hour later, they met at a small cafe near the office. Mark looked different, tired, uneasy. The confidence he'd worn like armor at the wedding was gone. "I don't know how to say this," he began, wrapping his hands around a coffee cup. "Your dad came to me before the wedding. He asked for a loan $20,000. Said it was a short-term issue with his business." Anna blinked, stunned. What?" Mark nodded. "He said he'd pay it back after the wedding. But now he's asking for more $15,000. He says if I don't help, they could lose everything." Anna sat back, the words sinking in. She pictured her father, always bragging about his consulting firm, his financial expertise, his supposed success. It had all been an illusion. "He's lying to you," she said quietly. "They've been living on appearances for years." Mark hesitated. "Jessica, sorry. Sophie thinks they paid for your whole education. She said they've supported you all this time." A bitter laugh escaped her lips. "1 semester. That's all they paid for. I worked 3 jobs to cover the rest." Mark's face paled. "They've been lying to all of us." "Yeah," Anna said. "It's what they do best." For a long moment, they sat in silence, the hum of the cafe filling the space between them. Finally, Mark sighed. "Jessica's worried. She wants to help them. Maybe even move them in if things get worse." "Don't," Anna said firmly. "If you do, they'll drag you down with them." Mark nodded slowly, realization dawning. As Anna walked back into the drizzle, her reflection blurred in the rain-soaked window. The Brooks family facade, the perfect parents, the golden daughter, the successful image was cracking, and for once, she didn't feel guilty watching it fall apart. The call came late on a Wednesday night. Anna was reviewing design specs for a water reclamation project when her phone lit up with her mother's name. For a moment, she considered letting it go to voicemail. Then, instinct or guilt made her answer. "Anna," Karen's voice broke, thin and trembling. "It's your father. He had a heart attack." The words landed like a punch. Anna stood frozen, the sound of rain against the window suddenly too loud. Is he okay?" "They think he'll recover, but he's in the hospital. The doctors say he needs rest. Less stress." "But Anna, we need to talk about the business." There it was. The real reason for the call. Karen's tone shifted, pleading but practiced. "With your father in the hospital, someone needs to manage things. You're the only one who can help us. Please, Anna, we could lose everything." Anna pressed her fingers against her temple. "You want me to fix his company. You're good with numbers, with planning. You could stabilize things until he's better. It's what family does." Family. That word again. It always came with strings. "I can't," Anna said, voice steady but cold. "I have my own job, my own life." Karen's breath caught. "Your father could die, and you're talking about work." "I'm talking about boundaries," Anna replied. "For years, you only called when you needed something. Now it's happening again." Her mother's tone sharpened. So that's it. You're abandoning us. No, Mom, I'm saving myself. Silence. Then the line went dead. Anna stood there for a long time, the weight of old guilt pressing against her ribs. She poured herself a glass of water, her reflection trembling in the glass. That night, she dreamed of being a child again, standing in an empty auditorium, holding a small science trophy as her parents clapped for Sophie's dance recital across the room. She'd stood there in silence, waiting for someone to notice. No one ever did. When she woke, tears clung to her eyelashes. She whispered into the quiet apartment, "Not anymore." Outside, dawn broke over the Portland skyline gray, cold, but honest. The kind of morning that marked an ending, and maybe a beginning. The week after her father's heart attack felt like walking a tightrope one wrong move, and she'd fall back into the old trap of guilt and obligation. But work at Thornfield Systems didn't allow room for hesitation. The firm had been shortlisted for a major sustainability contract with the city of Portland, and Anna was part of the presentation team. It was the biggest opportunity of her career, and she refused to let her family chaos steal that from her. The morning of the presentation, she stood before the mirror in a charcoal gray suit, hair pulled back, expression calm but resolute. Her reflection looked different, stronger, sharper, whole. At City Hall, her mentor, Linda Cruz, gave her a reassuring nod. "You ready?" Anna smiled faintly, more than ever. When her turn came to speak, she stepped up to the podium. The council members stared back, skeptical but curious. Her voice didn't tremble. "Our plan reduces municipal water waste by 32% in the first 5 years, she said, her tone steady, confident. "Not theory proof. Every figure here comes from models I built myself." For 20 minutes, she spoke with precision and quiet authority, answering every challenge with grace. When the session ended, one of the senior council members leaned forward and said, "Impressive work. Ms. Brooks." She nodded, smiling. "Thank you." Later that evening, a letter waited at her apartment, her father's handwriting shaky from the hospital. "When I'm gone, remember that I asked for your help and you refused." Anna read it twice, her jaw tightening. Then she walked to the kitchen, turned on the stove, and held the corner of the paper over the flame. The fire spread fast, curling the words into black ash. The smoke drifted upward, thin and clean. She whispered, "I don't owe you any more." And for the first time, she believed it. The girl who once stood in her sister's shadow had reclaimed the stage this time, under her own light. A week later, the news broke. Thornfield Systems had won the Portland Sustainability Initiative. The city praised their proposal as visionary, practical, and transformative. Anna's name appeared in a local newspaper article beside her photo, "Young Engineer Leads Breakthrough in Urban Water Reform." At first, she felt nothing but disbelief. Then came a quiet, swelling pride. This time, her work, her name stood on its own. But the moment didn't stay private for long. Her phone buzzed with a message from Sophie. Mom saw the article. "She's freaking out." Anna didn't have to ask what that meant. An hour later, her voicemail filled with her mother's voice, soft, trembling, and rehearsed. "Anna, we're so proud of you. Your father and I had no idea you were doing such incredible work. Please call us. We want to talk." She didn't. 2 days later, a package arrived, a framed copy of the newspaper article and a handwritten card. "We've always known you were destined for great things. We're so proud of you, sweetheart. Love, Mom and Dad." Anna stared at it for a long time. They were proud now when it made them look good, when her success could be displayed like another family trophy. But where were they when she'd been struggling, invisible, alone? She placed the frame in the back of her closet and threw the card away. That weekend, Sophie invited her for coffee. To Anna's surprise, her sister looked different, tired, humble, maybe even real. "I was blind," Sophie admitted quietly. "I thought Mom and Dad were perfect. I didn't see what they did to you." Anna studied her for a moment. then smiled softly. We were both just trying to survive it. They talked for hours, not about guilt or blame, but about who they were becoming. For the first time, it wasn't a competition. Later that evening, Anna walked by the Willamette River. The water shimmered in the city lights, steady, calm, unstoppable. She saw her reflection and whispered, "You made it." And this time, she didn't need anyone else to say it back. The email came on a quiet Sunday morning. The subject line read, "Coffee." Her father's message was brief. "I've sold the business. Your mother and I are downsizing. I've made mistakes, especially with you. I'd like to talk, if you're willing. No expectations, just a conversation." Anna read it twice, half expecting manipulation between the lines. But it wasn't there. It felt honest. She waited 3 days before replying. "I'm open to it. Saturday, 10 a.m., Morning Grounds Cafe." When she arrived, he was already there. Smaller somehow. The man who'd once towered over her with authority now looked fragile, human. "Thank you for coming," Robert said. His hands trembled slightly around his coffee cup. Anna nodded. "I didn't come for closure. I came to listen." He smiled faintly, regret softening his face. "I thought I was helping you by being hard on you, but I was really just trying to control what I didn't understand." Anna let out a slow breath. "You didn't need to control me, Dad. You just needed to see me." He nodded, eyes glistening. "You were right to walk away. I see that now." They sat in silence for a moment, no apologies rehearsed, no old debts reopened, just two people trying, for once, to meet in the middle. When they finally stood to leave, Robert said quietly, "I'm proud of you, Anna, not for what you've done for who you are." Outside, the morning sun broke through the clouds. Anna walked toward the river, her reflection rippling beside her. For years, she'd chased validation, mistaking it for love. But now she understood love wasn't something she had to earn. It was something she could define. And with that, she finally let the past drift away.